In the realm of modern thought, few names spark as much awe, resistance, and reflection as Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher, a critique of morality, a challenger of everything we take for granted. In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche doesn't simply ask us to think, he asks us to undo our thinking, to unlearn the ideas that have shaped us, and to confront what lies underneath a world without steady made meaning, where the self must stand alone. He begins with a provocation, not just against traditional morality, but against the entire Western philosophical tradition. He argues that philosophers have never been neutral seekers of truth. They have merely dressed up personal instinct and cultural biases as eternal truths. For him, morality is not a divine order, it is a human invention, a product of power, fear, and psychological need. And this is where his work profoundly intersects with existentialism. Existentialism, at its heart, begins with realization that, in the absence of divine authority or objective morality, human beings are radically free but responsible, alone yet accountable for giving life meaning. This is exactly where Beyond and Evil positions us. He reveals that the values we inherited, humility, obedience, guilt, are not noble. They are the residue of what he calls slave morality, the morality of the weak moralizing their own powerlessness. He challenges us to imagine a new kind of individual, someone who does not just follow values but creates them, someone who does not seek safety in dogma but courage in chaos. This is a free spirit he calls existential prototype. In the same way, existentialists like Sartre and Camus would later argue that meaning must be created, not just discovered. He calls us to a life. He calls us to a life of self-overcoming. He tells us, don't search for universal truth because there isn't one. Don't cling to morality because it was never yours. Instead, become who you are and live as though your values are your own creation. This is not a comforting message, it is a demanding one. Without God, without fixed morality, the world may feel empty. But he does not mourn that, he celebrates it. He sees in that void a blank canvas and urges us to pen it with the colors of will, power, and creation. Beyond Good and Evil is not just a philosophical critique, it is a mirror held up to the modern soul, a call to abandon passive obedience and become authors of own lives. Though I have focused on this particular work, his journey stretches much further. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he offers a visionary tale of human transformation, urging us towards Uberman, the one who rises beyond the herd to create meaning in the godless world. And in On the Genealogy of Morality, he dissects the very origin of our moral values, exposing how centuries of guilt, punishment, and power have shaped our conscience. Together, these works form a foundation of existential thought, a philosophy not of abstraction but of action, not of comfort but of courage, a philosophy that insists if life has no inherent meaning, then the most human thing we can do is to give it one. This book has 9 parts and a poetic epilogue one must explore. Ending with my favorite lines from the English translation. Have I become another, a stranger to myself? Have I sprung from myself, a wrestler who overpowered himself too often, who too often pushed against his very strength, wounded and checked by his own victory? I searched where the wind most keenly blows, I learned to live where no one lives, in deserted icy land. Forgot men and God, curse and prayer.